So as part of our winterization prep, we also need to make sure that we clean the areas that you can't necessarily see and that you wouldn't normally clean. So what we're going to do is take the wheel off. We're going to then clean in the wheel arch. We're going to make sure we clean all the areas that need attention. Then we're going to dress the surface. Then we're going to protect areas such as the brakes and the wishbones and those sorts of places where normally we wouldn't get to. But once a year, every 6 months, it's a good idea to take, if you can do, of course, take your wheel off and just give everywhere a good cleaning, just to make sure you keep all the areas protected. A lot of people concentrate on keeping the paintwork protected and don't always pay attention to the areas you don't see, but this is where your corrosion and rust and things like that start. So that's why you want to get in there. You also want to make sure that while we're in there, we're paying attention to dressing and making sure that any rubbers are supple and cleaned, because that way they don't crack, they don't wear out, and they don't let any of the road salt in there. So we're just going to take the wheel off now. The benefit with this is also we can clean the backside of this wheel once it's off, and we can also apply a sealant to the entire wheel while it's removed from the car. One little tip I've got for you is if you've got bigger wheels which can be really heavy once you're taking them off and putting them on, or if you've got, which my car doesn't have them, but if you've got carbon ceramic brakes, you don't want to drop the wheel onto the carbon brakes because you can chip the brake disc itself, which is a very costly thing to do. So what you can get is these quick align tools. And what they do is you take once you've got your car jacked up, you take one of your wheel bolts out, you get the tool, thread it in a little bit, and then you can remove a second wheel bolt. Sometimes you get two in the kit, sometimes you get one. Sometimes they've got the smooth end, sometimes they've got a knurled end. These have got the knurled end. I would have preferred them with the smooth just because it wouldn't grab when they're coming off. But a friend of mine who runs a car accessory shop had these in, and they were the knurled type. But then all you're going to do is take the rest of your wheel bolts out. And what these will aid you in is you can just slide the wheel off and it comes straight off like that. And all you do is take them out. So they will save you a lot when you're putting them back on, because if you've got to line the studs up, it makes it a lot longer. So all you've got to do now is line it up onto one of the hangers. Nice and easy. So once we've got the wheel off, we need to start paying attention to cleaning inside the wheel arch. And what we need to do when we're in here is inspect anywhere that we feel things may need attention or addressing. It's a good time to look at your suspension bushes and track rod ends and your brake discs, brake pads, all that type of thing. It's a good idea to look at that while we're in here. But on most modern cars, you've got a plastic wheel arch liner, which is a good thing because it's nice and easy to clean. It's a bad thing because they tend to trap a load of rubbish, but that's just by the by. What you can do once you're in your wheel arch and you're having a look round, see if there's any areas where you've got underseal maybe that's flaking off. There's some little bits in here, so it could maybe do with re-undersealing. And by underseal I mean like the black stone chip paint that you get. But on a lot of cars you will have this plastic wheel arch liner will cover the entire surface inside, so you're not going to have to worry. So what we need to do first of all, before we do anything else, is we get our sort of citrus-based degreaser cleaner. I've got a Maguire's foaming head on here, but you can just do it with a normal spray, and we're just going to spray everything down, leave that to soak in for a few minutes, and then we can start the cleaning process fully. So we're just giving everything a nice coating, just to make sure we get everything off and make it easier when we do come to clean it in a minute. Particular areas you want to pay attention to when you're cleaning dirt off in your inner wheel arches is areas like the lip, which goes around the wheel. You want to pay attention to that, because that's where, if you get dirt and mud that sits inside here, and you want to get that off, because that's where your corrosion's going to start. Other areas are sort of these back corners here, because again, that's where your corrosion sort of is going to start, if anywhere. So just make sure you pay attention to these areas, because that is where, if you want to keep your car for a good few years and keep it in tip-top condition, you're going to want to make sure that you pay good attention to those areas. That's where your dirt's going to congregate and sit. If your wheel arches are particularly dirty when you come to begin this process, it's not a bad idea just to get a jet wash or a pressure washer, or even a hose if you don't have the jet wash or pressure washer. If you just get your hose and give it a good hosing, just to make sure that there's no caked on mud. This isn't particularly dirty and it's not that bad, but it's a good idea if you do use the car daily, or if you do use it sort of on dirt tracks or muddy roads, just to make sure you clean it all out first, because then you're not trying to clean your dirt out with your decent product. Just give it a good blast out first, and then just keep applying little bits of your citrus degreaser, and it will clean and lift a lot of the junk that's in here. Okay, so once that's done, you can use a couple of different things. You can use your sort of easy detail brushes. You're going to probably need to use a bit of everything. Detailing brushes, cheap dishwashing scrubbing brush, which is cheap and easy to use. And we've also got the Chemical Guys yellow bristled wheel bender and tyre and rim brush. So basically it's just wheel arch brush, which is going to be great because it's like a flag tip. So we're going to use that one and give it a good scrubbing out now. Yeah, we just want to give everything a good going over with this big brush, and it's sort of going to clean everything up first before you get in here with any smaller brushes. Give everything a nice good scrub down. We're obviously not looking to get concourse condition in your wheel arches, but just want to clean off mainly the surface dirt and grime. And once we get that off, it just means that when we do protect it, we're not just protecting dirt and grime, we're actually protecting what we want to be protecting. Again, just get in there everywhere you can reach. With your bigger brushes, and then when you come to use your smaller brushes, you're going to have less work to do. Okay, so once you've given everything a good clean down, all you want to do is just get your hose or pressure washer, whichever one you choose, and just give everything a quick rinse. Just to make sure we get all the cleaners off. And then you can, with your detailing brushes, clean up any areas. If you've got sort of these Brembo calipers, we're going to want to seal those in a little bit, so we're going to clean those up, get all the brake dust and everything off them. And it also just helps to keep them in a better condition if you need to have work done or so on. But these are your main areas you need to concentrate on, are the likes of your bushes and that type of area. You want to make sure they're all clean, but you want to make sure that there's no splits in any of these sort of accordion gaiters, nothing like that, because if there is, you want to get them replaced before winter comes and before the bad weather and before the salt on the roads. So just going to give the caliper a quick clean up now using the soapy water and the citrus degreaser. Give it a spray, and using your detailing brush, just give it a good clean over. If you do have carbon ceramic brakes, you want to be careful what types of cleaners you use on those, and that's just a word of warning. But for normal steel brakes, any type of degreaser or cleaner is fine. You can also, if you're getting brake dust on that you can't get off, use a wheel cleaner, and that will also do for you. This just helps keep everything looking good and keeps on top of it, and if there is any areas of paint that have chipped off, it'll just stop any sort of corrosion or reactions that could happen. The other areas you can do is sort of on these, we've got a painted section on the hub, but we are going to want to steer clear of this greased area in the middle. And just give this all a nice good cleaning while we're in here, because we might as well do as much as we can while we're in the brake area and the wheel area, just to make sure that everything stays tip top for the summer. But like I say, concentrate on these areas here. Mine's full of stones and they all want cleaning out of there, because as I say, if your car is not aluminium and it's steel, this is your areas where your rust will start. Okay, that's all looking pretty good now. So what we can do is leave everything to dry off for a little bit. So we're going to use some jet seal on the calipers to keep them nice and protected over the winter. So we're just going to need a small amount, which we can then just rub into the surface. Just making sure that we get a good coverage on there. And this, because jet seal is designed as a sort of high temperature sealant for extremes, it's perfect for this type of application where it's going to reach a high temperature, and that's why I'm choosing it for using on the calipers. So we'll just apply that and leave it for 20 minutes to cure. Okay, so now we've done the wheel arches, we're going to need to protect them, so we're going to use Bare Bones from Chemical Guide, which is an undercarriage protectant. This is then going to protect all of the plastic areas and a lot of the other areas in the wheel arch. It can also be used under the car, so if you can get access to underneath the vehicle and you want to do the floor pans, this is a great thing for that also, which is then again going to keep your corrosion down and keep the mud and dirt from attaching itself. So give it a good shake and get a good coating and then give it a wipe round just to make sure that we don't miss any bits. This is then giving us that protection that we need over the winter. It's making sure that all our sort of parts of the car are staying protected as they need to, and giving us a nice finish in the process. That's given us that nice protected sheen and really looks good in there now. A bit more show quality finish than we had before with the dirty grey plastic arch liners. Now everything's shiny, but more to the point, it's all protected.